big part of that. So when I actually sat down with Sandra and with John, and just listening to them and their knowledge, and that they're willing to come to our school and to share that with our kids, it was just really, it's wonderful. So thank you all for being here tonight and for being willing to come to schools, because it really makes a difference for our kids. Thinking about this presentation, I spent a lot of time last year. I worked with a first grade teacher and with Sandra as they were preparing the lessons. And as both of you all have said, it's really, there are some things to set up that are really, it's very important. That rapport with the kids and setting up that relationship is just huge. The children are ready to learn anything, especially in the younger, well, in the elementary level, they're always ready to learn anything. That engagement is a huge piece in Fairfax County Public Schools, and as you know, throughout the country right now, the big thing is the STEAM or STEM learning for all of our kids. And one of our directives in Fairfax County Public Schools right now is preparing our students for the 21st century. And so you will find in many of our schools in Fairfax County that we actually have STEAM or STEM teachers that will take the children for throughout the school day, and they'll spend some time working with STEAM and STEM. The STEAM is the A is the art piece, as you all probably know that. And so bringing the children in, there are just so many. There are so many different children. As you all mentioned, we have children that come with IEPs. We have children that come from other countries. We have children that are just bored. We have children in poverty that just come from homes that are pretty sad. If you hear some of the stories that I've had to, that I hear every day, and it's really welcoming them and respecting them, and it's listening to them, because they really want to learn, and you will find that some of them just need your attention. But it's that engagement piece, and in all of the classrooms right now in elementary schools, pretty much throughout the country, you will find small groups, so it is that small group. In Fairfax County, we have what we call our Learn template for lesson planning, which is exactly what you all have done. Is the Learn, the L means link, the E means educate, so that's when you do that lesson, and it's usually, we say, a 10-minute focus lesson that we ask that the teachers will work with the kids, because we know that 10 minutes is a long time for sitting for kids, and so that 10-minute focus lesson. And then the A is the activity, so thinking about what is the lesson going to be when they do go out into those groups. The R is the reflect, and it's really important, and we're finding more and more how important it is to have that reflection when you bring all of the kids back together. What did you learn? What did you get out of it? And the N is next time. So how is this going to fit into their world, into next week, into their world as they go on? In preparing for this, because I had so much fun last year playing with the kids in the classroom when you were doing that, I interviewed 2 of the students that were in the class last year, and I asked them what did you like about it? What are some of the favorite things that you liked? And one little girl said, I liked doing the experiments. And she said the best part was we got to look through microscopes. And she was just fascinated with it. And I said, well, what did you look at? And she goes, my spit. And you were talking about that. But she said, all the things that I saw was so great. And then she also said that she liked the experiments because she learned more about science and what it was. She also commented on the oil spill. Again, that one to me was like, wow, that was really, because what I saw and what the kids learned from that, excuse me, was that really saved the earth. And so she told me that she even used the word inspire. I gave her that word because she's now in 2nd grade. It inspired her. Every year our students at the beginning of the year have to write their hopes and dreams for the school year. And it inspired her for her hope and dream for this school year, and that was to take care of the world and to make sure that it is not polluted and to help clean it up. And I thought, wow. So we know that what you all do is it really sticks with them, and it's that concrete, it's that doing it. Another girl said she loved the experiments the oil spill was at the top of her list also. And she says it's a better way to learn. You know how it works and you know about it and how it feels. And I thought that was just an awesome way to describe it. So now, and this is what we, in education, what we say all the time, that it's so important to have hands-on and for our kids to actually go through the motions. But the way, when she said, I know how it feels, so she knows how it felt to be a scientist or to be that person trying to clean up the oil spill. So I thought that was just wonderful. Because there are so many children that come from different backgrounds, it's that differentiating piece is just huge, and that's an important piece to do. And scaffolding. So there are children that come into the classroom that don't have the experiences that another student might have. So always helping with that scaffolding, and it might be just sitting with that child and giving that child a little bit more information. Volunteers, I think, are just, I think that you just need volunteers for something this big, and you were able to get volunteers for this, and that was huge. And so making sure you have volunteers. Visuals are huge, especially with the younger grades, to see things so they know what it is. We use a lot of whiteboards in the classroom and a lot of dry erase markers, and so every classroom should have that. And so that's a good way for you as the presenter or the educator instructor to kind of see where they're at. So you can just ask a question and they put up their whiteboards with the answer. And so that's a really good way to do that. I think that's it. It's a STEAM and STEM at Stratford Landing at our school, and again pretty much in every school is the direction that we are going, because we are really looking at our students to not just, I want you to do well in first grade or second grade. We want our children to do well in middle school and high school, and when they get out into the work world, because you're not going to get a worksheet when you go into the work world and say finish this and then you're done with your task. We're looking at the 3 C's: collaboration, critical thinking, and being creative. So we're going to look at our
kids. On the visual, almost all the classrooms also have internet access. So if there's a short video clip that would enhance having them observe, or that motion and sound and color, that video clip can be an eye grabber and get something across to them that's pointed to do.
Great, YouTube. A lot of teachers use YouTube.
I showed them today a famous news clip on the collapse of the Kohr Bridge. So they were, so it was a great way. It took me a minute to do it, and they could see a real life example of what happened.
I wish I had an assistant principal Shannon in every one of our 40 schools. If you have that support from the top, it makes all the difference in the world. Next, we're going to hear from Professor Sherri Kohr, and Sherri is in the Education Department at George Mason University and leads a 6-credit undergraduate course entitled Teaching and Learning in the Sciences. The curriculum focuses on leading hands-on science in the classroom. Sherri says she loves making science come alive for all learners. She has a bachelor's degree from Kenyon College in Ohio and a master's from GWU. And Sherri is RESET's Classroom Skills Development Advisor. So for the last several years, she's observed volunteers in the classroom and provided her assessment and recommendations, which is great. I know that Sherri observed one of my classes and provided a lot of help to me in terms of the way I present and interact with students. So if you haven't had Sherri observe a class, I highly recommend you follow up and do that. It's very helpful. With that, I'll turn it over to Sherri.
Okay. And it's not as scary as you think it is when I come. I like to get my hands dirty and play with the kids and learn too. So, and I can hopefully, if you would like to take advantage of my services, just help you make your job easier is really what my goal is, and not to tell you that you're doing something wrong, or because there's no wrong way to teach. But John asked me to talk a little bit about today about you as volunteers in the classroom. And when I mentioned to my students and my colleagues that I work with RESET, and simply explain to them that the mission of putting scientists and engineers in the classroom, most of those people that I come in contact with, their response is, oh, that is so incredible. I wish somebody had done that when I was in school. It's a great opportunity that each of you brings to all the classrooms that you go into. It's not something that any of us should take for granted because it's new and it's innovative and it's you're doing a great job. You're creating a generation of students that won't be able to say, I wish I'd had that in my classroom, because you're there. A lot of the teachers that I work with and the teachers that I train with are so happy, comment to me that they're so happy to have you in the classroom because unfortunately the reality is that particularly with most elementary and middle school teachers, their background is not strong in the sciences and they feel intimidated by science or don't feel confident in the science. And so having you, real scientists and engineers there, helps build their confidence, helps them see different ways to incorporate science and engineering and math and art and all of those things from STEM into their classrooms. Some of the education and professional colleagues that I deal with are always saying to me, you know, we work with a generation of students who are very, very comfortable with technology, not like us, and but they don't know the science behind it. They all have smartphones, they all, you know, use iPads and they watch YouTube, but they don't understand where all that comes from and what the science is behind that. So what we as Reset volunteers really can focus on is, in my opinion, is to make some of that science come alive for these kids, because each and every one of you bring knowledge of a practical application for science. Not just being greedy and wanting to make money by breaking things, which is always fun, and I would love to make money by breaking things, but you all have jobs or had jobs that somehow incorporated a lot of this science that you find fascinating and are passionate about. And so I think the unique thing that each of you can do, a vital role that you play in the classroom, is to bring all these issues, so to speak, to life, to make them real, not just something in a textbook. So I encourage